Texas A&M just broke LSU. Indiana is absolutely rolling, and the SEC is in a pure state of chaos. We're talking college football week 9 recap. We have undefeated teams making their case. We'll give you our Georgia Bulldogs mid-season report, and we will unveil the latest Nitro CFB top 10. This is the Nitro College Football Show. I'm Burl.
And I'm Streit.
Like and subscribe if you love college football. All right, week 9. A lot of stuff happened. It ended up being a much more eventful weekend than we thought it was going to be going into it when we were looking at this slate.
Well, at least for one conference it was.
That's true.
But that's just my opinion.
Yeah. So what are some of the big things that stood out to you this weekend, Streit?
I mean, I think we start right at the top. Texas A&M 49, LSU 25. Probably really wasn't that close. And I think the two things you take away from that, Texas A&M is for real. They are that good. And bye-bye Brian Kelly, because just about 30 minutes ago, we got news that Brian Kelly has been fired by Louisiana State University.
Yes, he has. He has been kicked out of the family.
Yeah. So before we go in the firing, let's talk about the game, because when we previewed the game, I said I thought maybe this game could go a lot like last year. Now I thought it might be a little lower scoring, but it kind of was a lot like last year, right? Like
it was almost a carbon copy of last year.
Yeah, with way more scoring out of Texas A&M, but same type of deal. Close game, and then all of a sudden the Texas A&M rushing attack just hammered and put LSU away in the second half. Marcell Reed looked fantastic last night. Threw for 200 yards, rushed for 108, had 4 total touchdowns, and they just killed them in the second half. Like, LSU was winning at halftime of this game.
I know.
And they outscored them 35-7, and that 1-7 was garbage with like a minute left in the game. Like,
yeah. The Concepcion punt return, which was amazing, is what really just busted open that whole game.
Yeah. So what I noticed is, I've watched LSU, or I've watched A&M this year, but not a ton, really close. But I was over at a buddy's watching this game last night. And what impressed me most about Texas A&M, damn, they're fast. They are fast on offense. Their running backs are fast. Their receivers are fast, and their quarterback is fast. They look fast.
They look like they did some really good scouting in the portal, because Concepcion came from NC State. And that seemed like a very under the radar kind of move.
Yeah, but they paid a lot for him though. He was a high money guy out of the portal, I think.
I'm sure he was, but still, it wasn't like the kid from Georgia Tech, Singleton.
Right.
That got all the hype, and this one just kind of flew under the radar. But the thing that stood out to me was the intensity on their defense. You see their defensive end just like go. He looked like Alvin Mack from the program, just losing his mind. It was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it was like I said, it was just a blitzkrieg. It was crazy. It was LSU had that momentum too, right? They blocked that punt, and you were like, okay, LSU's got it going. They made them fumble, and they took the lead, and you're like, okay, LSU's getting it going. Now, I found it interesting. This was the first time all season that LSU scored more than 24 points against a Power 5 team.
That's pretty funny. And
they only did it with that last touchdown, but they were like the last Power 4 team in the country to not have scored 25 points in a Power 4 game.
Man, I thought there for a little bit that my pick was looking pretty good, because they started Harlan Berry. I said that was one of the keys for if they wanted to kickstart their offense, which it worked to a degree.
Yeah.
I mean, he did pretty well, but then Marcell Reed he looked like Lamar Jackson running around out there.
He looked great. And on the flip side for LSU, man, I feel bad for Nussmeier. Like, you can tell that guy is hurt, and he's hurt pretty bad, and he got hurt even in this game more. Like, you can tell he's not at 100%. He's out there battling and just didn't seem to really have support. Like, as soon as they got down the second half, it just looked like they quit. Like, it was all they showed was a sideline, guys heads down, dejected, guys yelling at each other, fighting. Like,
Well,
you're a
I mean,
two-loss team coming into this game. Like, you still
they
had
were
something
still
to
in it.
fight for.
They were still
Yeah.
in it. But, all that fighting and heads down, I mean, that comes straight from the top. Brian Kelly, this whole game, was doing nothing but bitching out all of his assistant coaches.
Yeah.
I mean, people, like, you could read his lips every time he was dropping F-bombs. I mean, it was
Well,
nuts.
he does that anyway. I mean, that
Oh,
guy
I know, but
that guy has perma red cheeks. Like,
yeah,
he's always like red cheeks, angry,
but it's just like every time they cut to him, he's cussing out an assistant.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, dude, you hired the dude.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah. So let's get into the firing, but let's wrap up just talking about A&M. So for A&M, I mean, this game was huge, right? Now they've got this. They're the last remaining undefeated team in the SEC. They've got Texas at the end of the year, but they're looking like at this point they're at least a shoo-in for a playoff spot at this point.
You got to think that they are. I mean, the question I said at the beginning of the show, did Texas A&M save the SEC? And right now, it's looking like, they're going to be right there with Indiana and Ohio State, and A&M probably has better wins at this point. But
right, then that Notre Dame win looks better every single week because Notre Dame has figured it out. Like, I don't know what they were doing those first two games of the year. They weren't what they are now. All of a sudden, Notre Dame looks like world beaters. They got their running game going. CJ Carr looks great. Like, Notre Dame's got it going. So every week, Notre Dame goes out there and beats people up, and it's making that win that A&M has look better and better every single week.
Yeah, I mean, A&M is they've cranked it up a notch. I mean, they seem to have finally gotten everything to come together. That head coach,
like you said before, it's coaching.
Yeah,
I think Mike Elko has found the balance there, because when it was Jimbo Fisher, it was all about all these players they signed and this money they spent, and a lot of those guys left. And Elko brought in this kind of hard-nosed sense, this mentality that they're going to go out there, and yes, they still spend money. Don't get me wrong, but they found the guys that they got. They rode with Marcell Reed, even though, he got up that hot start last year and kind of struggled a little bit down the stretch, and they lost a few games. But man, they're carrying it over. So things are looking bright for Texas A&M.
Yeah, they really are. And Marcell Reed, he's got to be in the Heisman discussion at this point.
Absolutely.
He's had his two best games against LSU. He just has. Like,
Yep.
he loves. I tweeted, Marcell Reed loves playing LSU.
It's his favorite opponent, man. It's just like Jalen Milroe playing Georgia, man.
Oh my gosh, yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it's like. He's like, he could do no wrong. I mean, he still has. I think he still has a ways to go on being an actual passer, because he did throw 2 picks in this game. Yeah. He was still in the 50% completion percentage range, but he's hitting guys in the right spot so that they are able to get yards after the catch. So it's between that and then what he can do with his legs in college, that ability to run is going to be more impactful anyway. I think I saw, like, on his first really long touchdown run that he had, that was really awesome. He busted out of the pocket and ran for a touchdown. Well, he had receiver wide open down that sideline that he just didn't see. So, but I mean, young guy, he's doing amazing things with his legs.
Yeah. I went back and watched when we did our season preview and we talked about Texas A&M. One of the things I said is this is a team that I think is probably going to rush for 3,000 yards this year. They're not quite on that pace, but they're on the pace right now to run for about 2,500 yards. But the development of Marcell Reed as a passer, even though, yes, he still has a way to go, he's putting up more yards as a passer. and they're still rushing for like 225 a game or something.
Yeah, he's
They've
not putting him in
developed.
bad positions,
Right.
which is a great thing as a quarterback.
Right.
All right, so firing. Let
So
the
Brian
firing
Kelly has been
commence.
fired. So apparently, all the talk was that originally they weren't going to fire him. They were just going to fire all the coordinators, and people didn't like that. They're like, "Nah, let's just negotiate and buy it out." So Brian Kelly's tenure at LSU comes to an end. The whole thing is he went there because he said, "Oh, I can't win a championship at Notre Dame," and then Marcus Freeman getting to the national championship game last year, and Brian Kelly in his 4 years has never actually won anything at LSU. And I think just the way the dissension this season started out so bright when in at Clemson, but just every week it seemed like it get a little worse, and he's a little bit more angry. You felt it was coming. Last night I thought it was probably coming, but wasn't sure it was going to happen. But yeah, they pulled the trigger. They're negotiating the 50 some odd $1 million buyout, and the LSU job is now open.
It just dawned on me why Texas A&M plays so well against LSU with Brian Kelly.
Why is that?
Mike Elko was the defensive coordinator for Brian Kelly at Notre Dame.
Yeah. So obviously, I think with LSU, with the job at LSU open, I think that vaults to the top. That's the top job open to me. And it's crazy right now, the jobs that we do have open in college football and the ones that potentially could come open. I mean, look at it right now. You got LSU, Florida, Penn State, Oklahoma State, which, yes, I know has been bad the last few years, but whatever. Virginia Tech, Arkansas, Stanford, UCLA. Those are your big ones. But potentially down the road in the next few weeks, we could have Auburn, Wisconsin, South Carolina, Florida State, Michigan State, and North Carolina. None of those are little programs. Those are all big programs who have had some modicum of success over the last 25 years. That's crazy. And there's not going to be enough great new up-and-comers or seasoned coaches to take all these jobs. So some of these guys that have been fired at these schools are going to end up at these other places.
Yep. And you got to think that Lane Kiffin is at the top of everybody's list.
Right. Now, I told people even before Kelly was fired, I said, if LSU comes open, I think Lane ends up there before he ends up in Florida, if he leaves Oxford. I think LSU is set up in a better position. Because, yes, Florida's a great job, but LSU's had a lot more success in the last 15 years than Florida has.
Let's be honest. They have, but that's because they've been very bad at hiring coaches. And that's what it comes down to. You look at the coaches that LSU has had the past 15 years. Nick Saban, Les Miles, Ed Orgeron, all three of those guys won national championships.
They did.
Granted, Ed Orgeron had Joe Burrow.
Ed Orgeron a good coach?
Well, I mean, he did better than Brian Kelly.
Okay. He didn't have to fake his accent.
No, he was the perfect coach for LSU. They should have just waited it out. It would have been fine. But so they haven't had the coaching turnover. And if you look at Florida, Lane Kiffin reminds me a lot of Steve Spurrier. And they have some sort of connection somehow. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but they do. And it would not shock me at all if Lane ends up at Florida. Just
not with the rumors, the amount of money they're already throwing at him.
Yeah.
$13.5 million a year.
Because I really think Florida and LSU are like same level, same tier. I mean,
and Penn State's open too. I think those three jobs are the cream right now that are open.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to have all the resources. You're going to be in very fertile recruiting rounds.
Yeah.
And you got rabid fan bases. I know people want to talk about like toxic fan bases, blah, 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 whatever. Fans that care about their teams are going to be vocal and loud. And when their teams suck, they're going to talk about it. So I'm not going to hate on any fan base and say that they're toxic or whatever. I mean, I might hate Florida, but That's
Especially
different.
this week, we're gonna hate Florida.
Yeah, especially this week. But you know, I mean, fans are fans. What makes it tough for a college football coach is going to be the people surrounding them. So president, AD, you know, your top boosters. And it was a really interesting conversation that Nick Saban was having this week about how he said that these coaches need to set expectations with all of these boosters, saying like, hey, this is how I'm going to run things. I don't care that you just paid all this money for whatever.
Yeah.
I'm hired to do this job. Let me do my job.
I mean, that's kind of what happened when Kirby came in at Georgia, right?
Oh yeah, there was a
Like
lot of pushback.
Kirby came in and said, you know, if I'm going to take this job, I'm not going to be beholden to what you guys did to Coach Richt. I'm going to come in and put the people in place and hire the people I need to make this program successful. And if you don't want me to do that, then I won't be here.
Right.
And a place like Florida, or even more so than Florida, is a place like Auburn, a place that has really struggled with hiring the right coach because they've had meddling boosters who have determined what they want for years.
Okay, I take everything back about what I said about toxic fan bases.
That's not even really the fan base. That's really their.
I know.
That's their board of regents or whatever. It's Yellow Fella and all those folks. You know, but Auburn's a place that, once again, Auburn has the resources, the history, and stuff that they could get it back on track too. But they've been mired in bad coaches, and it shows what the wrong hire, not necessarily a bad coach, but the wrong hire can be. And so, for all these programs that are opening up,
it gets so expensive.
Right.
I mean, Auburn is probably still paying all of those coaches.
Well, Auburn was notorious for giving Malzahn a contract extension every time he beat Alabama. They'd give him a 5-year contract. And so all he had to do was beat Alabama once every 3 years. And, you know, he kept getting extensions.
But Ross Dellinger had a great tweet just talking about the amount of money that is being thrown out there right now for coaches to not coach.
That's crazy.
So if Brian Kelly's original deal like holds out, that's $53 million. Then you got Penn State $49 million, Florida $21 million, Oklahoma State 15, Arkansas 9. I mean, it just keeps going on and on. That's insane money to pay someone not to coach,
to get fired.
Yeah, and now you're going to turn around and spend more money on someone new to come in. So those are very expensive mistakes.
Like I said to you before, Jimmy Sexton just sits back, counts his money, and laughs.
I am jealous, though. They are getting the best job in all the world.
Fired football coach.
They could pay me to do nothing.
Yeah. Oh, man.
So you think Lane to LSU, or I still think Florida, but
honestly, I think he stays in Oxford. But
that wouldn't shock me either. I mean, he's a big quality of life guy. That was one of the things he was talking about.
He was after they won on Saturday, he was doing the Wolf on Wall Street, you know. So yeah. So I mean, if I had to say, I would say I'd give it 50% he stays at Oxford, 30% he goes to LSU, 20% to Florida. That's what I think.
Yeah, because isn't his son the quarterback of the high school team there in Oxford?
Yes, and they asked him the other day, and he goes, "I am not moving to Gainesville." That was his quote.
Hey, smart kid. Smart kid.
His parents are divorced, right? So he can stay where he wants,
but still smart kid. We almost broke down in Gainesville last year. I was sweating bullets. All right. Man. So speaking of Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss, let's talk a little bit about this game. So this was actually a really entertaining game. I'm not shocked that Ole Miss won, but I am a little shocked that Oklahoma that their offense didn't play any better.
Yeah. This game is kind of the script of the Georgia game, right? Ole Miss got the lead and then, was down in the fourth quarter and got the lead and then had this long drive and got this field goal to get up 8 and win the game and kind of held them down. Kind of the opposite of what they did the week before. Also, if you paid attention in this game, Ole Miss, who the week before at Georgia had a serious deficiency in the time of possession, well, this week they flipped it. They had the ball for 35 minutes in this game. And so it was kind of like they took a note out of the Georgia playbook and said, hey, if we're going to give up some points, well, we just got to match him and beat him till the end when we can tire him out and get the victory. And I kind of feel that like that's what they did here. I was also listening to Pollock today kind of explain a little bit from a football mind about what was going on in this game. And the interesting thing Pollock said was that Brent Venables is very famous for watching what the offense does and adjusting quickly with his team. And he noticed that Lane Kiffin in the Ole Miss offense came out and huddled up. And they very rarely ever huddle. And they would huddle up.
Because Lane Kiffin does that on the offensive side. That
Right.
same thing. The whole lane whistle thing. Yeah.
Pollock was saying that, and I didn't really notice this, but Pollock was saying that they huddled up almost all the time and would wait till about 15 seconds on the play clock and then shift out and make their shifts real quick and go. And so it was a little bit of a chess game between the offensive mind of Lane Kiffin and the defensive mind of Venables. And like I said, it was kind of a flip of the last week's script. Ole Miss got the win. A big difference in this game. Yeah. Oklahoma all season long has been sacking the hell out of quarterbacks. 1 sack in this game. Huge.
Yeah. I mean, watching this game and seeing the numbers that came out of it, if you're a Georgia Bulldog fan, you got to feel really good about your team.
Yeah, you do. You feel really good that you were able to beat Ole Miss because Ole Miss is a damn good football team.
Mm-hmm. They really are. Now, for Oklahoma, I think John Mateer needs to sit out. He needs to shut it down. I mean, he's definitely not the same player he was before he broke his thumb.
Right.
And it doesn't seem to me that he's back 100% healthy. I mean, there's no way he could be 100% healthy.
No, he's not. You can't have surgery on your throwing thumb and then be back playing 2 weeks later. Like
no. I think they're just trying to force it, and he needs to shut him down. Let him, come back next year.
I don't think he can. He's a 5th-year senior, though, isn't he?
Is he? I'm sure he can get an extra year.
I think he might already be on an extra year. But
that doesn't matter anymore.
True. Ask Diego Pavia.
Yeah, but I guess that would explain, like, if he doesn't have any eligibility left, then I can see why he's playing, but it's not doing Oklahoma any favors.
Oh no, he's a junior. He's got a year left. So you're right.
See, there you go. So I would shut it down. I mean, let him heal, let him fully heal. And then if your backup can limp you along through the next few games before he actually gets his thumb healed, then you're better off. Yeah. And all that to be said, if John Mateer is 100% healthy, I could totally see Oklahoma truly winning this game. It'll still be really close. But
the problem is their next 3 games are Tennessee, Alabama, and Missouri, and then LSU to close the season. So they had that murder's row schedule. Here it is. So
yeah,
I think at least this next week against Tennessee, he'll be out there at least, and then maybe they would shut it down then. But they're going to try to hang in because at the end of the day, they still only have 2 losses. So
yep, yeah, and there are a ton of 1-loss teams.
Yeah. Oh, the SEC is ridiculous. Like, who's beating who? And I saw this graphic, like, there's Texas A&M undefeated. There's Alabama, who has a weird loss to Florida State. Then you've got Georgia and Vanderbilt, whose only loss is to Alabama. And then you've got Ole Miss, whose only loss is to Georgia. And you have, like, it's crazy. Like, you have Missouri, whose only loss are to Vanderbilt and Alabama, and so on. So,
yeah, right now there are 15 undefeated or 1-loss teams.
Crazy. We're going to see some crazy football in the month of November.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of races coming down to the wire in each conference. It's going to be awesome.
Yep. So speaking of battles of one-loss teams, we had a game in Nashville on Saturday. Very low scoring, and
Yeah.
you know,
Surprised it was low scoring, actually.
yeah. So my question to you, Burl, is obviously Vanderbilt gets the win. Missouri gets stopped on a Hail Mary that gets caught at the 1-yard line that would have tied the game. But my real question is here, does Missouri lose this game if Pribula didn't get his leg bent backward?
I don't think so. I
You don't
don't
think
think
so?
so.
Because, I mean, that was a 4th down play and they got stopped. But immediately they got the ball back and they missed a field goal. So, I mean, that right there, they would have had 2 opportunities to, take the
Yeah.
lead there.
I mean, they definitely would have had a better shot.
Yeah.
I mean, you're always going to be in a better shot with your starting quarterback.
Right. Well, that first drive that they ended up missing the field goal, every time they turn around to hand the ball off, Vandy was just sucking in. They weren't buying that freshman quarterback. They got a couple first downs to get in field goal range, but they missed the field goal bad, and then Vandy took advantage. They ended up getting that touchdown, and touchdown with 2 minutes left, and then Missouri somehow drove down the field and had that Hail Mary, which was crazy that the first they called it incomplete and then they reviewed it, but then clearly he was down at the 1 when he caught it. It was a crazy way to end the game.
It was. But super happy for Vanderbilt. Kind of crazy seeing everything that was going on there this weekend. Love that the SEC shorts guy.
Yep.
With the Vandy pimp.
Put the stuff on Saban. Saban stood up with the scepter. Yeah.
It's great. I love it.
So it's fun. Vanderbilt continues to be a great story. They are a hard-nosed football team. Had been much more of an offensive team, obviously, before this week. Pavia is a player. He's very cocky. This whole thing of I should be the Heisman. I don't know about that. Your stats aren't that great, man. I know you're a leader and stuff, but there are lots of players who are leading their teams right now from the quarterback position who I think would be better Heisman candidates right now than Diego Pavia.
Yeah, but in his defense, he was asked the question.
He was, but he was also very, very cocky about it.
Hey, I've said this many times. I want my quarterback to be cocky. I like that.
The more asshole your quarterback is, the better, huh?
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, I love Baker Mayfield. I don't care what anybody says. All right. So, speaking of turmoil, there's a couple teams that face some really tough challenges on the road against unranked teams.
Yep. Kirby said it the other day. The SEC is tough. The margins of victory in the SEC are smaller than they've ever been. And even if you are playing a team that is in the conference that might be down, on that Saturday, there is talent. And on that Saturday, they could show up. And that's what we saw this Saturday, as Alabama and Texas both playing teams that are at the bottom of the league right now. Both probably should have lost the games, let's be honest. But somehow got the luck of the better teams getting, as you said it, of course, got the luck. Alabama, was down to South Carolina. At South Carolina, South Carolina fans were like lining up to rush the field already in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, they had put the goalpost down and everything.
Yeah. And it was just like that, quick turn. And South Carolina falls to Alabama. Alabama continues to find its way. After the 4 straight weeks of ranked opponents, this was, we're going to get a breather. But they weren't ready quite for that.
That was the most Beamer game ever.
Yeah. Well, and it's just, it just sucked. Like, for South Carolina, right? Just sucks that they ended up losing after Sellers fumbled. Like, what has happened to Lenore Sellers? So good last year. Obviously, we noted this in the preseason, needed to develop as a passer, but was so good running the ball. But man, the drop off this year, and I know it's the talent around him is not good. I know his offensive line's not good, but
Yeah, but here's
that's
the
the
thing.
reason.
I mean, they've got a stud wide receiver in Nick Harbor, who's just a freaking giant human being who can
And it's
run.
fast. Yeah.
The biggest thing that I see is they don't have Rocket Sanders this year.
Yeah. They
So
don't
the
have
running
yeah.
game is not what it was. And
Right.
if you can't run the ball in the SEC, you have no shot.
Yeah. So Alabama moves on. They stay, undefeated. They got the late, Jeremy Bernard had that awesome touchdown there. I think that was to tie it up actually, but Alabama moves on, and then
Yeah.
later in the
I mean,
day we saw Texas. Talk about what happened.
This game was nuts. Mississippi State fans went through every emotion on Saturday. They started out happy, like, all right, this is great. Things are going good. Oh my God, it looks like we're going to blow out Texas. This is amazing. So now you're getting to the height of pandemonium. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Texas starts just coming back. Arch Manning plays like a Manning for the second half. Like, he was awesome in the second half.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
he ended
actually
up
was
346 yards and 3 touchdowns. I mean,
yeah.
he statistically is probably his best passing game of his career there.
Yeah. And, as they take it into overtime, you just see the dejectedness of Mississippi State fans. And then,
well, how bad did they feel that the game tying touchdown came on a punt return? And it was Ryan Niblett, the same guy who returned the one for Texas against Oklahoma. Like, you come and you're so close, and then, but it was Texas's defense, which where was it all game, turned it on there in the fourth quarter. It was 2 straight 3-and-outs when Texas needed it. They got it, and Mississippi State could not. All of a sudden, they couldn't run the football. Like, they could do nothing. And then even Arch got knocked out, and it was the backup guy who threw that touchdown in overtime, right? Which was an amazing catch.
yeah.
But you feel bad for Miss State. Like, this was Jeff Lebby was going to get his signature win, of his tenure so far, and then they did.
Yeah, I feel bad for Jeff Lebby, but the video clips that were strung together of Brandon Walker throughout the day.
He went through the emotions, Burl.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it was like every emotion that day. He was even like mad, yelling at me. It was great. I mean, and he was standing in the end zone where that touchdown happened, right in front of him.
Oh yeah, there's the picture with a guy catching it, and he's like right there. He's like in his face. Yeah. So what did we learn about the SEC, Burl?
It is tough to win on the road in the SEC.
Yeah, even Kentucky put up like 500 yards against Tennessee. Now they still lost by double digits, but Kentucky had like 500 yards. I mean,
yeah, no one goes into Kroger Field unbattered.
That's especially not at night. That's very true. You're gonna earn that win there at night.
You are. You're
gonna win, but you're gonna dang sure earn it.
Yeah. And then in the rest of college football, we have a few undefeated teams really making their case. Indiana beats the ever-living piss out of UCLA.
Out of undefeated UCLA.
A 3-0 UCLA team.
They put that to rest. They put the rest that Nico was back. They put it all to rest real fast.
That Indiana defense is good.
UCLA had 201 yards. They went 1 of 11 on third down, and they threw 2 picks. Like,
I saw this today. Indiana has had the least amount of red zone attempts against them.
I don't doubt it. They're just
crazy.
They're just killing people. It's crazy.
Yeah, but even letting people get to the end zone. I mean, that's crazy.
And then Mendoza just keeps humming along, 4 touchdowns. Whatever.
Yeah, yeah. It seems like people are kind of forgetting about him. He's like doing so good. It's all about Signetti.
Yeah. So what do we got? We got Ohio State, Penn State next week, and I think that's the last hurdle between us getting the Indiana Ohio State, Big Ten championship. I mean, yes, Ohio State will play Michigan at the end of the year, but Michigan's got a couple losses already. So,
Gosh, so that'll be like 2 really big games that happen in the Big Ten this year for the whole season.
Well, hey, those Penn State
Bo-
games were big
well,
at the
and
time.
both of them having Indiana in it, apparently.
Yeah. Crazy times we're living in.
It is.
Indiana,
Cats and dogs are getting along.
Georgia Tech and Vanderbilt are all top 10 teams, and nobody's arguing about it. What the heck?
I know. People are acting like, oh, this is normal.
Yeah. Speaking of Georgia Tech, they hosted Syracuse, and coming into Syracuse was a good team last year. We thought maybe, hey, Syracuse could give them a little game here. Now it turns out Syracuse really sucks. And
yes,
Georgia Tech just continued to honestly, this might have been one of Georgia Tech's best games of the year, because that's been one of the knock on them, right? Their schedule hasn't been that hard, and they haven't really looked like they really put anybody away. They did in this game.
Yeah. I mean, they've had a lot of close games. I mean, they went into overtime against Wake.
Right. They could have lost last week against Duke.
Yeah. They just had games like that. So I said last week that I needed Tech to really blow out this Syracuse team, because Syracuse is down bad right now. They just are.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like it was like a blowout. It just didn't feel, it doesn't feel like it, even though another thing that I'm trying to take into account right now is with the new clock rules, the games are a lot shorter.
Yeah.
And so there's less drives and stuff. There's a whole bunch of that being talked about this past weekend. It was really interesting. But I'm still not 100% sold on Georgia Tech right now. I mean, they're a good team. I think they're a good team, not a great team. And good teams win the winnable games on their schedule.
What Georgia Tech is right now is a good team with a great player, or at least a player who is playing at a level that can carry a team right now.
Yes.
Haynes King is that team. He's that team, man. I mean, yes, this guy's been in college football for like 6 years, but he had 5 touchdowns yesterday, 304 passing, 91 rushing. He's it. Like, if he goes down, I don't know if they're a great team. But right now, this, what it reminds me a lot, not that, well, they are undefeated right now, so you could say it reminded a lot. It is a lot how Auburn got it rolling there with Cam Newton in 2010, where Cam Newton was everything that team. That Auburn team wasn't a great defensive team. They didn't have great weapons, but they had one great player that was playing out of his mind, and it made
they did have
the
Nick
team.
Fairley.
Yeah, but overall, that Auburn defense was not a highly ranked defense. Fairley was good. Yeah, and Tech's got some good players. I mean, but I'm saying as a whole, as a unit. But that one player on offense, you had confidence that he was going to lead them on drives and points and things like that. So even if the defense gave up something, it wasn't the worst in the world, because they knew they could match it. And I kind of feel like that's how they're going right now.
And I'm not saying like Georgia Tech is anything to snooze about. Like they're really good.
Yes.
Like they're a good team. They are beating everybody on their schedule that they have. You can only play your schedule. You can't help that Clemson is not very good this year.
Right.
You can't help stuff like that. But they are taking care of business, and it's going to be really interesting when they meet up with Georgia at the end of the season.
Right.
That's going to be a really interesting game. It's
going to be interesting because right now it looks like, all things considered, they're probably going to be undefeated when they play Georgia. But then you're looking at, if you get to 11-0, you're probably in the playoff anyway. But then you got to play Georgia. You got to play in a conference championship game, and then you probably got to play in a playoff game. So you're going to go from having really a lighter schedule where you haven't been challenged to 3 straight games of you're getting hell and it's coming.
Well, honestly, if they lose to Georgia and then lose the ACC championship game, I don't know that they make the playoff.
It depends on what shakes out with the other conferences. You're right. I mean, he could, but
I'm just saying, I think it's going to be tougher for a 2-loss team at this point right now.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. But this could be the year, this could be the year that they get, a couple in, especially who knows what shakes out in the Big Ten. But if Oregon somehow picks up a loss down the road here, you may only get 2 Big Ten teams in this year. The SEC looks destined to have 4 this year.
I think the Big Ten gets their top 3 in.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, the SEC is going to be interesting. I think you might get a couple teams out of the Big 12.
Potentially. But, well, we'll see. We can talk about that next. The other game, the other undefeated I want to talk about was BYU taking down Iowa State. This was a game that Iowa State was winning, I think, in the first half, where they were tied. And then BYU just put them away in second half, 24-3. I love Bo Bachmeier. I've said this before. I like a guy who wears number 47 and plays quarterback. But he had a hell of he's developing too. 307 yards, 2 touchdowns, 49 rushing. And his 2 receivers, man, those 2 guys had a day yesterday. Parker Kingston, Chase Roberts, they combined for 15 catches, 261 yards.
Wow.
That's doing work with your 1 and 2.
Yeah. And unfortunately, Rocco Beck did not have the greatest of days yesterday.
No, the interception it was close, and he threw the pick 6, and that let BYU pull away. So
yep, pretty much did it.
So BYU is 8-0. Oh, go ahead.
That's a great story. Continues. BYU undefeated, keeps going,
and they've got a bye this week, and then it's that Texas Tech game that I've been talking about for weeks. Texas Tech will be favored against somebody this week. Going to be real interesting. That what we see in 2 weeks, November 8th, BYU Texas Tech.
Yeah, that's gonna be a fun game to watch. I'm looking forward to that one. All right. Well, if you love college football, like and subscribe. We do this every week. This is the Nitro College Football Show. Now we're going to talk about some Georgia football. So if you're a Dog fan, you want to tune in. 7 games in, but for all intents and purposes, we know Georgia at least is going to have 6 or 7 more games at this point. 6, 7. 6, 7. Oh my God.
But yeah, so 6-1. Where was Georgia last year at this point? 6-1, lost to Alabama. Same thing last year. Last year at this point, they had the win over Texas. This year, you can substitute that with the win over Ole Miss. So yeah,
we got Georgia has 2 big wins this year. You got the Ole Miss win, and you got that Tennessee win is really big.
Right. Yeah, I just meant changing out those games where the signature win of the first half last year was really last year was Clemson, and then the win over Texas, where this year you've got the Tennessee and the Ole Miss. In both cases, close loss to Alabama. Coming into the season, I predicted Georgia go 10-2 this year, make the college football playoff, but I thought we were going to beat Bama. So not having not beat Bama is disappointing, but at least everything else still seems kind of to line up. What are some early thoughts, bro, on the first half of the season for Georgia? Overall, offensively, Georgia's in at 33.7 points a game, 42nd in the country. Now, that's actually an improvement from last year. Georgia was at 31.5 points, which is 38th in the country last year. Now, of course, that was over the whole season, and you'll see that with a lot of these statistics as end of the season, bowl games, things like that. Some of these stats tend to go down. Total offense, 428 yards, good for 37th in the country. Last year, they were at 405, 51st in the country. Passing the ball, we have seen a regression there, which is what you expected, going from Gunnar Stockton, who's a little bit more run happy than obviously Carson Beck was. 237.9, 64th in the country, whereas last year they 281, 12th in the country. But the biggest improvement on offense has been rushing the ball. Last year, Georgia was abysmal, 102nd in the country at 124 yards a game. This year, they're at 190 yards a game, 37th. So offensively, you've seen the shift away from passing back to rushing the ball. Scoring slightly up. Total offense is up so far. the offense has really been driving this team, as we'll see in the defensive rankings. The defense has kind of taken a step back.
Yeah. So going back to just talking about, the season, how it's been thus far. So I personally would give this current team a B plus up until this point. Since losing to Bama, Georgia has really had a kind of a quietly good season. The team is very young, especially on defense, but the offense has been cooking. I mean, Bobo, I hate when people say this. He's been in his bag.
I think I've said that to you a couple times.
Yeah, I feel like everybody's saying that right now. And I'm a contrarian. So whatever everybody's saying, I don't like it. I'm a hater.
Yeah.
But Georgia's been really good on offense. And each week they continue to get better in areas where they have young players, like underclassmen, freshmen.
Yep.
We've been really bad. Georgia's been really bad on defense in the first half, every game, but great in the second half of every game.
So just a little bit, I know I gave the offensive rankings. Let's talk about the defensive rankings before we go deep on the defense, because it's a little bit of an interesting picture, right? Okay. So scoring wise, Georgia's at 19.6, 32nd in the country. Last year, 20.6, 23rd in the country. So we're actually giving up less points this year. Now it's worse overall, but actually giving up less points. Total yards, 313, 28th in the country. Last year, 329. Passing defense, we're giving up 222, which is up a little bit. It was 200 last year. But once again, major area of improvement, rushing defense. Last year, Georgia gave up 129 yards a game, 36th in the country. This year they're at 91.4, 11th in the country rushing defense. So
yeah,
overall, you've seen some improvements. Now, some of that could be a little bit screened, right?
Two areas though, of these stats that I'm looking at. So passing defense, you said 222. That's good for 70th in the country. That's horrible. And what's even worse, third down defense, 94th in the country at a whopping 42% success rate.
Yeah. Even more glaring than that, the worst defensive statistic, I think, that is probably the biggest problem Georgia has on defense right now. And that's getting to the quarterback. Georgia has 7 sacks this year. That's 121st in the country.
They got 8.
Huh?
They got 8 now.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Well, they got 8, but still, it's still 121st in the country. And almost all of those sacks are by the linebackers. I think Chris Cole's got 3, and I think CJ Allen's got 3.
They do.
Your linebackers, your linebackers who are not edge linebackers, they are linebackers, should not be leading your team in sacks. And especially not a defense like Georgia, that, traditionally has been known for not necessarily putting up great numbers, but getting pressures on the quarterback. And hell, when we had the 2021 generational defense, they did get to the quarterback a lot. But yeah, like you said, it's a problem. Third down defense is a major issue. And I think not getting into the quarterback is a major issue. I also think that, like you said, passing defense is a problem. Teams are passing more because Georgia is, for all intents and purposes, good at stopping the rush. And so I think
Georgia is great at stopping the run.
And so I think teams are seeing that and exploiting it. Now, what Georgia's not great at in terms of stopping the quarterback. Rush. Well, but also, and that's interesting because the rushing number at 91.4, that's without the benefit of having a lot of negative yards because of sacks.
Exactly. So throughout the season, so I just want to talk about the defense, as it's gone throughout the season. So first off, they don't show up until the second half. That's a huge problem. And when we're talking about this pass rush or lack of, I want to know, where are the transfers at?
Right.
Because we had some big time transfers coming in that were supposed to be pass rushers and haven't seen them.
It was supposed to be Mendoza, right? But I think the problem is Ella Mendoza came from Army. And maybe the success of a pass rusher at Army
It's a
has
little
not
different
translated over.
than the SEC.
Now, I will say that we, at least in this last game against Ole Miss, you're starting to see a little flash out of Josh Horton,
Mhm.
who was one that I didn't expect really to see that much out of. Big defensive lineman. He had a couple good plays at the end, and he's made some plays over the last couple weeks as he's kind of worked his way in there. Um, and Xavier McLeod, now this is his second year transfer, but he's had some good plays in there too. But yeah, overall, the defensive side of the ball, the transfers have not lived up to what they've done on the offensive side of the ball.
Right, exactly. And honestly, the one thing that drives me nuts about this defense is the poor tackling. I feel like this is the worst tackling defense I've seen under Kirby. It could just be recency bias, and I'm just mad, and I'm just a crazy fan that just can't see through the crap or whatever. But it seems like we miss a ton of tackles
Yeah.
until we get to the second half or fourth quarter.
Yeah. Well, I think we've always had a guy who could clean stuff up right in the middle. And as good
Yeah,
CJ Allen is a good player, but he doesn't clean stuff up as good as the guys we had in the past. Even last year, we still had Smile Munden, and Smile Munden, for anything that he lacked, he could make tackles and be in the right position. The year before that, Jamon Dumas Johnson physically may have not been the best player, but he made the tackles he needed to make. And then before that, we had Nakobe Dean, and we were spoiled. So you've always had
mhm,
these guys that clean things up at the linebacker position. And like I said, CJ Allen
yeah,
flies around, but he tends to get out of position sometimes, particularly with his eyes. And
he
so
does.
he doesn't clean up as much as the guys we have in the past. So
Yeah,
that hurts when you
and
don't have that guy who's coming up. And we don't have the same talent in the secondary either. Malachi Starks can come up and hit somebody. And we don't have a guy like that.
well,
Bolden's good, but I don't feel like we have somebody that's coming up. Aguero has shown some flashes at times, but
yeah. So that leads me to this defense is very young, especially on D line and secondary. The linebacker play, I think, has been really good between CJ Allen and Raylan Wilson. I mean, we saw that in the Auburn game with the biggest play of the game.
yeah.
Um,
That was both their best games of the year though for both of those players.
yeah, yeah. But to me, the secondary, I feel like, is getting better every week. The first few games we were like, oh my gosh, these guys, like, what is going on? We're just getting torched
Yeah.
on every deep pass. Like, we couldn't defend a deep pass to save our lives. It seems like the combo of Everett, DeMello Jones, Ellis Robinson, it seems like they're finally starting to figure some things out back there. We're starting to see some pass defenses on deep shots, which is great. They're not doing too much. They're not hand fighting as much. They're just going up, knocking the ball away, and that's awesome. But the problem is there's no pass rush,
Right. And
and
teams are
it doesn't
picking
matter
us
how
picking us
good your
apart.
secondary
Yeah.
is. Yeah,
Well, they're not going deep as much. They're picking us apart. I mean, even in the Alabama game, let's look back. Other than that incomplete pass to Ryan Williams early in the game, Alabama didn't throw the ball deep the whole game.
yeah,
They just
yeah.
picked us methodically apart down the field,
They were
which is a lot
long
what
drives.
right, which is a lot what Ole Miss did too. Now they weren't line drives, but even Ole Miss's long touchdown pass was a quick pass that Everett missed a tackle. So now, yes, they did go deep in the Tennessee game. Let's not let's not act like
Yeah,
nobody's gone deep on us, but
yeah.
that's Tennessee's offense too. Um, but yeah, the secondary overall, yes, it's getting better. It's young. I wish, after what we saw at G Day, I thought Daniel Harris was gonna step up, but he's kind of disappeared. I don't even know if we've seen him play that much the last few weeks. And
No, I don't think we have. Um, but I do like what I'm seeing out of Aguero and KJ Bolden.
yeah,
I think there's KJ Bolden's been good ever since he set foot on campus.
yeah.
Aguero, he's coming back from injury. He's starting to fill out that role, and
I don't think
I
we win
think
the Tennessee game without Aguero.
We don't. He had a
That was his
great
best
game.
game.
It was,
Yeah.
he was nailing people, like,
Yeah.
absolutely
And he
missile.
had a pick too in that game. But
Yep. Yep, yep. So, what does this defense need to be, or what does this defense need to do in order to be championship level?
consistency. You can't do it just at the end of games.
Yeah,
As
you gotta start playing
as
full
great as
games.
as great as it is to be able to shut people down, entirely shut them down in the second half, doing that, you are relying on your offense to keep it in. The offense has been great, and we should talk more about the offense in a minute, but that's
Oh,
a
we
lot
will.
of pressure. That's a lot of pressure on that offense, and for Georgia to reach the level that they want, they're gonna have to get consistency, and it's gonna start this week against Florida because Florida ain't got nothing to lose, and we know that Lagway, while he's throwing
Can
some
throw it
picks, he
deep.
can also throw it deep and he can run. So they're going to have to just get some consistency. Maybe not fear that deep ball as much. Also stop playing so much zone because that's what they did against Ole Miss, and Ole Miss picked us apart. Uh, but yeah, just consistency.
Yep, yep, yep. Playing full games. They got to find some kind of pass rush.
Yeah,
Georgia's never been a like big sack team, but Georgia's always good at affecting the quarterback.
yeah.
Just causing havoc plays.
And maybe we see
And
that this week with the off week, and maybe there's some changes, some of the
yeah,
rotation. Like I said, even Horton getting in there a little bit more was a change. You got some of these younger guys, Chris Jones getting a little play there at linebacker, things like that.
yep, yep. And the young secondary just continue to get better every week. Just keep doing what they're doing. And as a whole, tackle better.
Yeah.
Please, Georgia dogs. Come on,
Yeah.
dogs. Tackle, 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 tackle. So on offense, okay, sorry. For defensive grade, I would actually give them a B minus for the year
Ooh,
because they've
you're
played.
you're generous. I gave him a C minus.
Oh wow. Well, I couldn't do that because we still are 6-1. We're still shutting down the run. Our scoring defense is not bad at 19 points a game, and the way that they close out games is awesome. So that's why I was up in a B minus.
Yeah,
But
makes sense.
I could see the case for a C minus.
Yeah. What about defensive MVP? What you thinking?
This hands down CJ Allen.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
I mean, as much as I harp on Dalen Everett, CJ Allen's having a phenomenal year, leads the team in tackles, tied for the lead in sacks, and he's a big leader on the defense. He's playing at All-American caliber.
Yeah.
And if he continues this progression, he's got a chance to go down as one of the all-time greats.
Yeah. All right, well, let's talk about the offensive side of the ball, which has been much more of a bright spot, for this team, really. Talked a little bit about it in the statistics. One of the goals this year was to get back to running the football. Obviously, it wasn't the Georgia standard last year, and they have made it a point. The running game has been great. The combination of Chauncey Bowens developing into, a lead back. Nate Frazier, despite some troubles with fumbling, really has come back strong the last few weeks. And Gunnar Stockton being part of that. You've seen a little bit of Dwight Phillips in there. The one thing that the Georgia offense, the rushing attack, is missing is the big play. They are not a big play offense. They've been incredibly consistent. You're going to get that 4.5, 5 yards of carry, which is great. Just not a lot of big plays in there.
Well,
Phillips had one, but
I mean, Chauncey Bowens has had a few really long runs, and then
yeah, but you're not seeing any 50s or 60s up there. It's just it's a lot of 12s and 10s and 13s and 9s and
get
that's
some
great.
30s, get some 20s and 30s.
Yeah. So, like I said, it's just they are an efficient running offense, but they are not an explosive running offense.
We haven't hit any home runs in the running game.
Right. Except for Gunnar. I mean, Gunnar's got a couple of 20 plus yard runs for touchdowns in there. And as the running game has progressed, what this tells you is that the offensive line is playing better. And for an offensive line that
Yes.
has been incredibly, ridiculously banged up all year, infamously in the first 6 games, started 6 different offensive lines. You've got multiple freshmen either starting or playing significantly on the line. They're getting better every week, and they're finally getting healthy. Getting Ernest Green back the last couple of games really helped. Juan Gaston is a beast of a man. He's good at tackle. He's great at guard. Glover is getting in there and playing. Freeling has been hurt, but man, he toughed it out in that Auburn game, and they weren't even going to let him play. And then he got Conference Player of the Week. Offensive line, the development of the last few games of the offensive line has really, really been a bright spot for this team. And they're so young, and they're just getting better.
It's been great. I mean, the offense has definitely been the strength of this team this year. And there were 2 things that were just terrible last season. There was blocking all around, pass blocking and run blocking, because our run game was non-existent last year. And then drops from receivers. So Georgia did some work in the portal and in recruiting and seems to have corrected those 2 areas.
Yeah.
'Cause
Outside of one really bad drop.
Yeah.
Talon Taylor.
It was.
Other than that, drops have not been a problem.
Yeah. Compared to what it was last year, where it's like the first drive of every game, like Aaron Smith dropped a ball or somebody dropped a ball. I mean, it was insane how often that happened.
Yeah.
But the offensive line has been outstanding despite having 2 true freshmen on the starting on it.
Yeah.
I mean, if anything, those 2 true freshmen have been a huge lift to that offensive line. I mean, we've got some beef out there. I mean, they're moving people. It's awesome.
But let me tell you, the offensive line doesn't flow as good as it has this year without Drew Bobo. Underrated. Underrated as hell at the center position. And people might have screamed nepotism, whatever. That dude has held that line together. And he wasn't expected to be the starter there last year because Michael Morris could have came back, right? Or I mean, not Mike Morris. Jared Wilson could have came back, and he didn't. And so you had Drew Bobo fill in, there at the end of the year, and he has held that line together. Very impressed with him.
And he takes a lot off of Gunner's plate, which helps Gunner play even faster, which is what we need out of him.
Yep. And then let's talk about the pass catchers as a whole. So obviously Branch, Zachariah Branch, gadget guy, All-American punt returner. Is he a good catcher? Dude, that guy's been awesome, man.
Phenomenal.
He's catching balls down the field. He's catching, screen passes, which, as Kirby said, are really extensions of the run game. Makes guys miss. His hands have been great. He is our go-to guy on third downs.
Yeah, I love him and Gunner have a great connection where he goes for a slant and Gunner just guns it for, no pun intended, but and he catches them.
Yep. And then
those
Colby
were drops last year.
Colby Young was having a really good year. Unfortunately, he broke his ankle. His ankle or leg. He's going to be out for the year. But he was that deep threat we need. Now we haven't seen a lot of Noah Thomas. Hopefully he steps in. He didn't really the last game after Colby Young got in. It was Dylan Bell who stepped up.
Yeah, because they immediately threw to Noah Thomas deep, but he got called for offensive pass interference.
Yeah, so he hasn't lived up to the billing yet, but he hasn't had a lot of opportunities. So maybe with Young out, we see a little bit more development there. Tight end group has been good. We didn't really use them a lot, and then all of a sudden, the last 2 weeks,
tight ends are getting in the mix this year.
Like 22 targets, I think, the last 2 weeks for the tight end group. They're showing
Phenomenal.
up. Lucky's great. Delp is great. Elias Williams is great. It sucks that Ethan Barber got hurt, but tight ends are awesome. And I really like how they've been used the last couple of weeks. That continues. This offense is humming. Watch out, because maybe the Georgia defense is not as great, but the offense is so much improved from last year overall in the quality and the ability to move the ball down the field. So,
yeah, the defense is just going to get better.
Yeah.
And I love what we're seeing out of the pass catchers, but to me, the biggest improvement of this team has been at quarterback. And I know that's kind of a tough thing to say because you had Carson Beck last year who is a good quarterback. But what we're seeing out of Gunner this year is a million times better than what we saw with Carson Beck last year.
Right.
Gunner Stockton, he's tough. He's a winner. He's a gamer. He is clutch. He makes big plays and huge games and huge moments, and he gets better every week. For the first few games or first 4 games, really, there was a lot of talk that he's like timid. He's not pushing the ball down the field. He has 0 interceptions. That just means he's being too conservative with it. Well, now we're seeing him take those chances, trusting his eyes a little more. He's getting more in rhythm with these receivers. And we just saw him have one of the greatest days you could have on the offensive side of the ball against a really good Ole Miss team.
Right.
I mean, Gunner Stockton is the number 2 QBR rating in all of college football.
Yeah. He certainly silenced the doubters, put himself in the discussion for Heisman, which is weird to say. And like I said, I think overall the stability he's brought in. Carson Beck was high risk, high reward, and last year, unfortunately, it was a lot of high risk, a lot of interceptions. Gunner hasn't fallen into that trope. But yeah, I'm excited. The offense has been good. If you had to grade it, couple performances were awesome, but you got to look at the season overall. Remember a couple of Austin P game. Overall, I give the offense a B plus. I think improving offensive line, improving rush game, improving pass game, so much better than last year. Not perfect, but improving. B plus seems pretty good. Keep heading in the right direction. That'll be an offensive grade of an A, but right now, B plus is what I thought.
I'm actually a little more generous. I'll give him an A minus. And just going back to Gunner, I mean, talking about Heisman, he's already got Heisman moment plays this year.
It's got multiple.
And they always talk about, you got to have your Heisman moment so that they can show that clip and pick one.
He's got the pass against the pass to Humphreys against Tennessee. He's got the touchdown against Auburn, and he's got the touchdown run against Ole Miss.
Yep. So what does the offense need to do to be championship level?
Continue to improve at the level they are. Continue to use the tight ends. I think those are 2 things that will continue, especially with Colby Young out. We've lost our big deep threat, but the tight ends have filled in great. So continue to use them, and then try to find some explosive plays. I think in the rush game, it's been consistency, but it would be nice to get some home runs in there just to balance thing out.
Yeah, I think we got to be a little better in the pass game, and that comes down to the O-line is really who I'm talking about, and just better at blocking all around. The running game, while it has been great, we lost to Bama on a run play that should have been a walk-in touchdown if it was blocked right.
Right.
As much as we hated the play, when you looked at it, it was like, it was there.
Yeah.
It was there.
Right.
And then,
I was going to say, you mentioned that, which leads to one other thing we need to talk about here. And that's coaching.
Oh, yes, we do.
So before we get to coaching, let's talk special teams real quick. Special teams have been great. Thorson Woodring, solid. Woodring's making great kicks. He did miss a field goal, but other than kicking the ball out of bounds twice last week, he's been great. Thorson is Thorson. He's awesome. He's back healthy.
Yeah. Had 0 punts last week.
Right. Not much to mention there. With the return game, Branch hasn't really gotten that many opportunities, unfortunately, so we haven't really seen that. But special teams doing their job, keep doing it.
Yeah, that's one thing you never really have to worry about with Georgia. It seems like over the past 10 years is we always have good kickers and punters, and we're just really solid in special teams.
Yeah. So let's talk about coaching. So this is a weird year. It's been really weird. In terms of the coaching decisions, man, and we were really hard on the Bama after the Bama game. I just feel like something's up with the preparation of this team. Why does this team consistently get behind in first halves of games? And why does the defense look so overmatched early in games. Now the team can make the adjustments and stuff, and that's great. But even Kirby has said that they don't really make that many adjustments. It's really just stuff starting to work. And because they have great athletes, it starts to work. So in terms of coaching, whereas last year I thought was a phenomenal coaching job by this program.
Yeah.
The team had lots of issues last year, and they won an SEC championship. This year, I kind of feel like it's a little bit of the opposite. There have been positions that have been great. Bobo has been great. Searles has been great. But I feel like the defense...
I want to talk about the slow starts real quick before we dive into the other stuff. From what we've seen, and knowing that this team is so young, there's been talk about, okay, what are they doing for preparation? They obviously aren't preparing enough. I think it's kind of the opposite. That Kirby leaves no stone unturned, and these guys are having to process so much more information as freshmen than what you would see out of a normal Georgia defense that we're used to, where you have upperclassmen as your majority of your defense. So they've been in the system. They don't have to think about things as much. So when they go into these games, they're overanalyzing everything, trying to get in the right spots. And you see the out of sortsness that they have. So as the game progresses and they start relaxing a little bit and they start reacting instead of thinking, then the defense looks great because they did all that preparation.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just a matter of, okay, they just got to get more experience, and eventually, hopefully by the end of the season, we'll start putting 4 quarters together on defense.
Yeah. Like I said, I think the Alabama game, the coaching was bad. The decision to not at least take the field goal to tie it, or even the play call that they did with Cash Jones, I still think that was a bad game. So if I'm grading coaching as a season overall, I'm giving this coaching staff a C for this year. It's just kind of average with the talent that they have, and they couldn't get over the Alabama hump. A C. But like I said, there are some bright points. Bobo, offensive line, and things are headed in the right direction. So
I think C is a little harsh because we are 6-1, ranked number 5 in the country.
Very true. Very true. but this is Georgia, man. This is 2-time national champion.
That's why I'll give him a B-. All
right.
But Bobo got him that little extra point.
Yeah.
So that's been good.
Any final thoughts on the year so far, and what do you think happens here in the second half?
This has not been a boring season by any stretch of the imagination. No. I mean, Georgia's got a great team. Our only loss is by 3 points to Alabama. That ain't bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a decision here or a catch there, and you're undefeated, and you're probably ranked number 2 at this point. But the thing about this team, and what I keep saying, is I think Georgia really is the most dangerous team in college football, because as bad as everybody thinks it's been, it hasn't been that bad, and we haven't even played our best.
Yeah.
So this is not even our final form.
Right. So I think coming into the year, I thought this was a 10-2 team, playoff team. I think I'm going to stick with that. We got 5 games left in the regular season. I think we're a solid team. I think we should win, or we can win 4 of those games. We've got 3 toss-up games I would consider left. Florida next is a crazy toss-up game just because they fired their coach. You don't know what we're going to get, and it's a rivalry. Texas, they have the talent. Now, they haven't put it together. They haven't looked great, but heaven forbid, you overlook an opponent like that and they'll kick your ass.
Yeah. And it would be so, I mean, unsurprising that would be the game Texas gets their shit together.
Right. And then we got Tech at the end of the year, who's probably going to be undefeated. So 4-1, second half of the season looks pretty likely to me. That's a playoff team. That's that's a lower seed just because, like you said, there are so many, one-loss teams. But that's probably still a playoff team with the prestige of Georgia, with the
Yeah.
wins over Tennessee and Ole Miss, and either one over Tech or Texas at that point. You're probably in the playoffs. So
Yeah, I feel pretty good about the rest of the season. I think that Georgia has a great chance to win all of those games. I think they'll be favored in all of the games that we play throughout the rest of the season.
yeah.
And might even be in a really good spot by not having to play in the SEC championship game.
Oh,
And
I mean, I think the dream scenario
yeah,
is 11-1 and not playing in the SEC
yeah, and we get a home game for the playoff.
You get a bye week you get a bye week the week of the SEC championship to rest and get healthy, and then you get a home playoff game. And if you're 11-1 with Georgia's resume, if you're not a top 4, because you don't have to be a conference championship to be a top 4 anymore, but if you're not, you're playing a home playoff game, you're probably a 5 or a 6. So you might be playing that group of 5 team or whatever, or a Big 12 team, So
Yeah, if you're able to, you're gonna be in such a much better position as a one-loss team going into the playoffs than 2 losses. I think it's gonna make it tough because I
yeah,
think there's gonna be just a ton of 2-loss teams
yeah.
as it comes down there. But I feel good about Georgia. Feel good about the Dogs. If you love college football, and if you love Georgia Bulldog football, give us a like, give us a sub. We're huge college football fans. Obviously, that's what we're
Yeah.
talking about here, and we love our dogs. Go Dogs! So give us a sub. Do us a solid. All right. Shall we talk about the Nitro CFB top 10?
Yeah, we're going long tonight. Let's take this puppy home.
All right. Coming in at number 1, we have Ohio State. To be the man, you got to beat the man.
Nobody's beaten them yet.
Nope. And looks like they're on a collision course with the number 2 team in the country, Indiana.
Still looking good. Killed UCLA. Heading towards that showdown with Ohio State at the end of the year.
Yep. And then A&M coming off huge win against LSU, getting Brian Kelly fired. They got to be feeling really good about that.
Yeah, move them to the top of the SEC. I think we had Alabama ahead of them last week, but they showed out. They were impressive.
Yep.
They looked fast. They looked good. Beat down LSU. I feel solid with them at number 3.
I do too. And so that puts Alabama at our number 4. They had a tough time in South Carolina, but pulled it out in the end. But they've gone through a gauntlet. I mean,
Right.
it's amazing what they've been able to do. Then you got Georgia, had a bye week at number 5, rolls into Jacksonville this weekend to hopefully take care of the Florida Gators. And Oregon at number 6.
Which struggled somewhat with Wisconsin, which was
They
kind of
did.
interesting.
That was kind of surprising.
Funniest thing about this game, Oregon kicked an onside kick to start the game.
I know, yeah.
And you thought, okay, Oregon's, they're trying to show it out. They're going to blow them out. And they struggled a little bit with Wisconsin. So, some people have been quick to criticize Oregon lately. Really, who have they beat? Because they beat Penn State, and that's really it. So we'll see. They've got a few tough games. Washington, is always tough for them. Is playing pretty good football. So
Yeah,
we'll see how they
Washington's
handle it
playing good football.
We'll see how they handle it down the stretch.
Yep. Then at number 7, we got Ole Miss coming off the big win against Oklahoma.
Good bounce back, showed out, fixed the problems they had against Georgia, kind of reverse script. Good job for them. They're in good position to be a playoff team, I think.
Yep. And Lane said, ain't leaving.
He said he's not. We'll see. Money talks.
Yes. And then at number 8, we got Miami. They've bounced back this weekend and just really, won in a blowout. So they look back to being what they were.
Yep.
Although I was hoping that Stanford would somehow pull it out, because that would have been the most hilarious thing ever.
Yep. They're back on track.
At number 9, your Vanderbilt Commodores anchoring down.
Yep. Caught a lucky break, literally, of an ankle or a leg. Got to win. Vandy keeps winning. You know, their only losses to Alabama. They got a big one at Texas this week.
Yeah, they do. And then rounding out the top 10, the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Taking care of Syracuse this weekend.
Yeah. Can Haynes King keep it up? That's the question. Like we talked about him earlier, they are a team driven by one man, and they got some good players around him, but he's the one that makes it go. So we'll see what happens.
Yep. He is the straw that stirs the drink. All right, that's going to do it for us tonight. If you love college football, like and subscribe. If you made it this far and you haven't subscribed, what are you doing?
Yep. And we'll be back later in the week with our predictions, talk a little bit about our preview for Georgia, Florida. But I think that'll wrap us up for a long show tonight.
Yeah, it will. Yeah. So hit us up on socials at Nitro CFB. And until next time, I'm Burl.
And I'm Streit.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.